Bacteria is a common type of prokaryote. Its cell wall is composed of peptidoglycan, which can be used to distinguish between bacteria gram-positive and gram-negative. Gram-positive has thick peptidoglycan, while gram-negative has thin peptidoglycan. Gram-negative are surrounded by second plasma membrane outside the cell wall. It blocks antibiotic drugs and makes infection difficult to treat. There is a technique used to differentiate bacteria, which is gram-stain technique. Gram-positive will be colored with dark purple and gram-negative as red. This is the first step to identify unknown bacteria causing infection to humans. Bacteria grow in different oxygen requirements. First, obligate aerobes, which means it is unable to grow in the absence of free oxygen. For example, Pseudomonas mycobacterium. Second, obligate anaerobe. It is unable to grow in the presence of free oxygen, such as Clostridium bacterium. Third, facultative anaerobe. It is able to grow in either presence or absence of free oxygen, like E. coli bacteria. A few serious illnesses caused by anaerobic bacteria, such as botulism, gas gangrene, and tetanus, infect free environment in human body, like intestine and deep puncture wounds.
Bacteria can also be described in terms of their three basic cell shapes. The first one is spirally, which looks like spiral shape or helical shape. For example, Spirillum volutans. It is a gram-negative and also one of the largest bacteria species. The second one is bacilli. It looks like road shape. For example, Escherichia coli. It is a type of bacteria that normally lives in our intestines. And the last one is cocci, round or spherical. For example, Streptococcus thermophilus. It is a type of probiotic bacteria. These are friendly bacteria that normally lives in our digestive, urinary, and genital systems without causing disease.
Hello everyone, my name is Nabihah. I will talk about autotroph bacteria. In this topic, we have two types of autotroph bacteria. First, photoautotroph bacteria, which photo means light, auto means safe, and troph means food. These bacteria will be photosynthetic, which they obtain energy from the sun to reduce carbon dioxide to organic compound. There are two types of photoautotroph, which is anoxygenic and oxygenic. For example of anoxygenic bacteria is the sulfur green and purple bacteria. These bacteria live in anaerobic conditions such as muddy bottom of a marsh. They cannot photosynthesis in the presence of oxygen and do not emit the oxygen. Second, we have chemoautotroph bacteria, which chemo means pertaining to chemical, auto means safe, and troph means food. These bacteria will be chemosynthetic, which they oxidize inorganic compounds such as hydrogen gas, hydrogen sulfide, and ammonia to obtain necessary energy to reduce carbon dioxide to organic compound. The nitrifying bacteria will oxidize ammonia to nitrates, then nitrates to nitrites. Their metabolic ability keeps nitrogen cycling through ecosystem. Other bacteria oxidize sulfur compound. This bacteria lives in environment such as deep sea. Next, heterotroph bacteria, which hetero means different. These heterotroph bacteria will obtain carbon and energy in the form of organic nutrients that produced by other living organisms. For example, the parasitic bacteria will feed on the tissue and flies of their living host. They also called as saprotroph that serve as decomposer that break down organic matter from that organism. The bacteria use commercially to produce chemicals such as butyl, acetic acid, acetone. They are also involved in the production of butter, rubber, and coffee.
Bacteria also can form a relationship among them that is called a symbiotic relationship, which two different species live in an intimate way. There are three relations that I believe we all already know, which is mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. I will share an example for mutualism. The first one is bacteria that live in human intestine that produce vitamin K and B12, which we can use it to produce a blood component. Other than that, in stomach of a goat and cow, mutualistic prokaryotes will digest cellulose, enabling the animal to feed on grass. We can see that mutualism relation give both species a benefit association. Then we have a commensalism that often occur when some population modify an environment and give benefits to other population. Just goby fish live on other sea animals, changing color to blend in with the host, thus gaining protection from the predator. That is commensalism. And now we go to the last one, is parasitism, where one species gets the benefit and harm the others. Parasitic bacteria can cause disease and we call it pathogen. Sometimes the bacteria doesn't cause a disease, but the portion it's released from it can harm the host. It's either human or animals. There are many diseases caused by this pathogen in human, such as tetanus. Tetanus is different from other vaccine preventable disease because it does not spread from person to
A number of antibiotic compounds are active against bacteria and widely prescribed. Most antibacterial compounds fall within two classes, those that inhibit protein biosynthesis and those that inhibit cell wall biosynthesis. Two types of antibiotic, erythromycin and tetracycline, inhibit bacterial protein synthesis by affecting bacterial ribosome because they function somewhat differently than eukaryotic ribosome. Antibiotics that inhibit cell wall biosynthesis generally block the formation of peptidoglycan, a compound necessary to maintain the integrity of bacterial cell wall. Penicillin and ampicillin inhibit bacterial cell wall biosynthesis without harming animal cell. Antibiotics are heavily prescribed to treat infection, often when not needed. One outcome of excessive and improper use of antibiotics has been increasing bacterial resistance to antibiotics. Gene conferring resistance to antibiotic can be transferred between infectious bacteria by transformation, conjugation, or transduction. When penicillin was first introduced, less than 3% of Staphylococcus aureus strain were resistant to it. Now, because of sedative advantage, 90% or more are resistant to penicillin, and increasingly to methicillin, an antibiotic developed in 1957. A strain of methicillin resistant S. aureus or MRSA is responsible for many difficult to treat infections that have become a threat to human health. MRSA is common in hospital and nursing facility where it causes problems for those with a greater risk of infection, especially those with open wound and weakened immune system.
Cyanobacteria are gram-negative bacteria with a number of unusual traits. Initially, cyanobacteria were called blue-green algae and were classified with eukaryotes, but now it's classified as prokaryotes. It can have another pigment that masks the chlorophyll, so they can appear red, brown, yellow, or black. Cyanobacteria are also rather large. They can be a single cell or colonial cells. They have an advantage due to the possessions of heterosis. What is heterosis? Heterosis is a thick wall cells without a nucleus where a nitrogen fixation occurs. Because of that, their nutritional requirements also minimal because of their ability to photosynthesize and fix atmospheric nitrogen. Cyanobacteria are also ecologically important to nature. If care is not taken of disposing agricultural waste, human waste, or industrial waste, phosphate from the wastes drain into lakes and ponds, resulting a bloom of these organisms. So the surface of water becomes turbid, and light cannot penetrate to the lower plants. When populations of cyanobacteria die off, the decomposer feeding on them use up the available oxygen, which cause the aquatic plants, the fish die from lack of oxygen.
Firstly, bacteria can be classified by their shape, including bacilli, roots, cocci, spheres, and spirally, spirals. Secondly, bacteria are like eukaryotic cells in that they have cytoplasm, ribosomes, and a plasma membrane. And lastly, features that distinguish a bacterial cell from a eukaryotic cell include the circular DNA of the nucleus, the lack of membrane-bound organelles, the cell wall of peptidoglycan, and flagella.